Hello, I'm John Schwander, also known as Yell Graham Gamer,
I'm Dexter, or D-Will.
And I'm Phil.
and we're here with another special episode for Project KZAV. Now, if you can remember the first special episode, you have an idea what's in store, in which I will lead in with this question. What is a game?
Here we go again.
Yep. And we'll see if we can go back to where we were after we had that sort of discussion, and see if we're on the same page or if we've moved on. So, and either of you want to start, and then I'll recap what we decided last time.
I think I'm going to say the exact same thing I did last time.
And that is?
That for it to be a game, you need some way you can compare yourself to another person.
Dexter, your thoughts?
A game. I'd say a game for me is something that entertains you while doing some type of action.
And that's about the split we had, was the competition and goals to the having interactive and fun.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's resume that debate of when it's interactive, it's not a game until it has that competition edge. Dexter, why do you think that is?
Man. I don't know. Maybe just because we're used to being with people, like having fun with people, and competing with people. We're just used to having fun that way.
So it's also a social experience.
Exactly.
And Phil, why do you think a game has to be interactive? Not necessarily competitive.
I guess that's the distinction between like a video game and a movie. The interactivity. You kind of need to have that input for it to be anything different.
So you need a little bit of control and feedback from that
Well,
input.
if you don't have input into the, I don't know, media, then it's the same thing as a movie or TV. So there wouldn't be a distinction.
I gave you each other's answers to defend, to sort of see where can we find that overlap. What is the... If we can single it into one sentence, we're down to like 5 words. A game is a competition, or a game is an interactive competition.
Well, but what I said before, it doesn't have to be a competition for it to be a game.
It just needs those elements.
Well, right, there needs to be some way it can be a competition. It doesn't always have to be a competition. You can play a game for fun, but there also has to be some way you can play it as a competition.
And that doesn't have to be hard-coded into the game. It can be something you can judge yourself.
Yes.
Like The Sims doesn't have a clear goal, but if you want to say who can build the best house next time, you have competition going.
Right. Then you have some way to measure it. Measure if you're better than another person. And you have a game.
Dexter, do you think that you could shrink that to 5 words? Or even 10 words?
Let's see. A game is a measured source of interactive fun.
You got it down to 5 words.
Yeah, that's 9.
Or you could just say measured source of interactive fun. 5 words.
Would you agree with that definition, Phil? Does the
Um,
measured source build on your explanation of competition being there? Being
yeah.
possible?
I mean, a game isn't the measured part, but I understand where he was going with that. It needs rewording, but I don't know how to reword it.
Oh, it was under 10 words. That was impressive enough.
Right. I was giving him credit for that.
Alright, so we're still on task with what a game is. So, I'm going to lead into, again, what is our game?
Action and adventure. RPG. And a platformer.
Now, I noticed 2 things, and I want to say first, what part of our game defines RPG for you?
You're playing as someone that's not yourself.
Okay. So, a literal transition of role-playing game.
Yeah.
And I noticed a lack of the real-time strategy aspect.
I totally forgot about that part. But it's just mainly because we haven't been working on it.
Mm-hmm. Phil, your thoughts?
On what our game is?
Not on just what our game is, but building on or taking away from what Dexter said.
No, I think that's pretty good.
So we haven't worked on the RTS section, and since it hasn't shown in our description of the game, I want to bring up that, although I've been talking about it for some time, are we keeping the RTS section? Or at this point, are we going strictly action, adventure, platformer, RPG?
I don't think we have time to add that in.
Neither do I.
Alright, so this changes our audience a little bit. Because our main audience in the beginning, when we first did this, was the platformer, with our secondary audience being the RTS audience.
Yeah.
So now we have to readjust. What does the platformer like only? What do they like? What do they expect from a platforming game?
Fun. Just crazy, stupid fun.
Mm-hmm. What about solid controls? Precision jumping? Some way to maybe do a time trial?
Probably.
All true.
Anything else that a platformer player or a action adventure RPG would actually look forward to and actually looks into when they decide whether to play a game or not?
The story.
Story's a big one.
What you can actually like, or what's different about this game than the other games.
Mm-hmm. And also what's similar about it between other games.
Yes.
How different is it and how familiar is it so that they can use past experience with this game. And now for the counterpoint, what do they hate and what do they expect not to see in that style of a game?
The opposite of what we just said.
To be quick about it, yes.
That's true, yes. Anything that would turn them off that wasn't said?
I don't know. I guess I haven't had enough platform experience to have a good idea.
What about the lack of art?
That'll do it.
You think we can get by with our wireframes?
Well, no, not with wireframes.
No.
Well, yeah, you could get by the platformer people with that, but not really the RPG people. Because you see how
just
many
it-
people go
yeah.
back and play Mario 64.
Hmm.
They're not playing that for the graphics right now. They're playing it to
Yeah.
get through it as fast as possible.
Hmm.
And that's pretty close to wireframes.
Then when you mentioned the story, I just immediately started picturing our story with boxes talking to each other. How do you think that would go over with our audience?
If we market it that way, they think it's hilarious.
I, for one, would hate that.
How do you see it impacting the story, Dexter?
You don't get into it all. You'd be like, what the crap is this? I am going to skip this as quick as possible. Because people with, at least playing games now, I'm pretty sure, like, a quarter of them do not care what's going on. They just want the gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know in Diablo 3, if you play through that once, you don't care for the story anymore. You skip everything.
That's
Try to
true.
get through it as fast as possible.
Now, if we were limited on art, how do you think you could go about evolving the story to incorporate squares talking to each other? Or maybe one's a circle, or a square with two circles on it in certain places talking to a square.
Then we're changing the story completely.
No, we don't have to.
Well, not like the setting and everything is going to have to be changed. Like, we're not going to be in a jungle.
Could be in a box jungle.
It's very true. We'll put some box trees out there and we'll be good.
Just take pictures of random places, put as the background, make it fit with that level.
There you go.
And have them play that.
Do you think the dialogue would have to change much for the two boxes talking to each other?
Maybe.
You need to have box humor, but
Mm-hmm.
So yes,
a little bit.
the dialogue would have to change a little bit.
So I want to drive the importance of what was just said. The story is going to be impacted by the lack of art, but it's doable. We're looking at a very real possibility of never having art beyond wireframes. So we should start getting that in our minds that worst case scenario, our story can be ported to work without any of this, or any of that art. And we should do that with as minimal changes as possible to ease up the workload on Dexter and each other.
Yeah.
And we
I'm not
stated
sure.
that dialogue will stay the same mostly.
I would have to put in my own little things. Like, I don't know box humor or circle humor. You're a square.
There you go, some cheesy puns.
I hate puns.
Looks like you woke up on the right angle of the bed.
See,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
box humor.
Yeah.
I would slap myself.
But the dialogue doesn't have to change too much. It could be doable with what was planned. Differentiating the genders of the boxes might be a little tricky. I don't know. Maybe just one wireframe is pink, one wireframe is blue.
Yeah, that'd be good. If
And
we're
we'll
going
just do
simple,
colors.
let's go really simple.
Yeah. If we do approach if we're forced to approach the wireframes, should we fill in the boxes?
Why not?
Yeah. That would make my job a lot easier.
Dexter, your thoughts?
That's fine.
I think so too. It'd be a lot easier to, even for the player, just to tell what's part of the level, what's not.
Yeah.
You know what we also could do? I have no clue if you actually do this, but you know how Greg was talking about how, or not Greg, it was Sarah, how many emoticons there are, and like how you would never express them in real life. Try to get as many of them in the game as possible.
So you want art?
Yeah.
But emoticons are a lot easier to do.
That's true, yeah.
You could download them.
Yeah.
Certainly an alternative we can look into. Maybe some speech bubble with a floating emocon.
Yep.
Well, I wanted to just take this time to do a practice of how our vision has changed and the limitations and benefits to our new vision. We might not need art, even though would be nice to have. And we cut out a big part of the game with the RTS.
Gotcha. We just call it an emoticon.
We could.
Hey, we could do just everybody as boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Or squares or circles.
Well, right. But we could do
Well,
really huge pixel art.
yeah. Though you did add the freehand drawing. Stick figures could be everywhere.
Stickers should be everywhere.
I think the boxes would work better, though.
Drawn freehand.
Yeah. It'd be a lot simpler to do, too.
It'd be funny.
It would. It has potential. So I'm glad we did that. I think a lot came from it.
Yeah.
Vision's still intact. Just a little few things changed. So that's it for that little exercise, unless you guys got anything else you want to add. Any other questions or comments?
Nope.
Phil?
I'm all set.
Alright. That's Project KZAV. Signing off.